Most menopause conversations start and end with estrogen, but estrogen may not be the whole story. And what's missing from the conversation could explain symptoms your doctor told you were completely normal. Emerging research from institutions like the University of Michigan is turning attention toward a hormone almost no one is talking about in the context of menopause: oxytocin. If you're a midlife woman or a man dealing with fatigue, weight gain, low libido, or sleep that never leaves you rested, and you're tired of being handed a lab result that says everything looks fine, you're exactly in the right place. Today, we're separating what the research actually shows from what still needs more study, because this is a conversation worth having carefully. For decades, menopause has been viewed almost entirely through one lens, and that single lens view may be leaving millions of women without real answers. Declining estrogen, declining progesterone, sometimes declining testosterone. Those hormones matter, absolutely, but menopause may involve multiple hormonal systems shifting at the same time, not just one. Think of this like a single instrument going out of tune, and more like an entire orchestra section quietly leaving the stage. Researchers from the University of Michigan and collaborating institutions have begun focusing serious attention on oxytocin, a hormone that has received almost no attention in menopause conversations until recently. The question isn't whether estrogen matters, oh, because it does. The question is whether we've been looking at an incomplete picture. Before we can talk about what oxytocin does during menopause, we need to correct something most people think they already know about this hormone. Most people hear oxytocin and picture a newborn baby, but that image accounts for maybe 5% of what this hormone actually does in the body. Yes, oxytocin supports labor, breastfeeding, and early bonding. That part is accurate. But according to Dr. Devinky Lindsay Berkson, author of Oxytocin Medicine, oxytocin continues working across your entire adult life, influencing mood, digestion, appetite, metabolism, cardiovascular health, sexual health, pain, muscle, and bone. Oxytocin receptors aren't clustered only in the brain. They're distributed across the reproductive system, the heart, digestive tract, pancreas, and bones. That's not a bonding hormone. That's a whole body signaling molecule. One of the most important shifts in thinking here: this isn't a hormone that turns on during pregnancy and then retires. It's operating continuously, quietly in systems we never connected to it. If you want to go deeper on how your hormones may actually be working together, I put together a free guide called Hormone Harmony or Havoc. It walks you through the key hormone relationships that most doctors never explain. Pause the video and grab it now, or find the link in the description when you're done. Now that you understand the full reach of oxytocin, what happens when it starts declining, and when does that actually begin? The timing of oxytocin decline and the timing of menopause symptoms is not a coincidence. And researchers are starting to connect those dots in ways that could change how we approach the transition of menopause entirely. According to Dr. Berkson, oxytocin levels tend to decline with age, while risk for mood changes, sleep disruption, cardiovascular concerns, and bone loss tend to rise. When most women describe what bothers them most during menopause, they don't say, "My estrogen is low." They say, "I don't feel like myself." They say, "I've become anxious. My sleep is wrecked. I feel disconnected." Those are oxytocin adjacent experiences, and that's exactly why researchers are paying closer attention. On mood, declining oxytocin may contribute to anxiety, reduced resilience, emotional flatness, and lower feelings of well being. Not because oxytocin is the only factor, but because it's part of the network. On sleep, oxytocin signaling appears to play a role in sleep quality. And if you've had menopause related insomnia, you know that poor sleep makes every other symptom exponentially worse. On bone, most discussions focus exclusively on estrogen protecting bone. But according to Dr. Berkson, oxytocin may help enable estrogen's protective effects, which reframes the question from what replaces estrogen to what combination of hormonal signaling best supports aging. On metabolism, oxytocin has demonstrated potential roles in appetite regulation, blood sugar balance, and metabolic syndrome, which may help explain why so many women gain weight during menopause without changing how they eat. None of this means that oxytocin is a cure, a fix, or a replacement for anything. It means menopause is more complex than a single hormone story, and the research is starting to reflect that. There's one area where the oxytocin story gets genuinely surprising, and it's the last place most people would think to look. No one told you oxytocin was running signals in your digestive tract. And that oversight may be part of why so many midlife women are struggling with gut symptoms that no one can explain. Oxytocin receptors line significant portions of the digestive tract and the pancreas, meaning that oxytocin participates directly in digestive communication, not just emotional or reproductive signaling. Constipation, bloating, slowed motility, these are complaints that show up constantly in perimenopause, and they're rarely connected to hormones during a standard medical workup. Functional medicine practitioners have started paying close attention to oxytocin biology precisely because it bridges systems that conventional medicine tends to treat in isolation. The brain, the gut, the endocrine system, the immune system. This doesn't mean oxytocin is the answer to every gut issue. It means that the gut isn't operating in a hormone free vacuum, and we've been treating it like it is. Understanding the research is one thing. Knowing whether any of this applies to you and what the responsible next steps look like is a different conversation entirely. The most dangerous place in any emerging area of medicine is where excitement outpaces the evidence. And oxytocin is close enough to that edge that we need to be clear eyed about what we actually know. The research on oxytocin in menopause is promising and accelerating, but much of it is still in early mid stage investigation, which means this is a conversation to have with a knowledgeable practitioner, not a self prescribed solution. So, who may benefit from exploring oxytocin with their provider? Well, women in perimenopause or menopause dealing with mood changes, with sleep disruption, weight resistance, or gut symptoms that haven't responded to standard approaches. And men in andropause experiencing similar patterns. Important cautions though. Oxytocin is not available over the counter in therapeutic form. Current research doesn't support treating it as a standalone fix, and individual hormone profiles vary significantly, which is why this requires clinical guidance. The goal of this video isn't to send you searching for a new magic molecule. It's to expand the conversation that you're having with your care team, because a more complete picture leads to better questions, and better questions lead to better care. The research is changing, the conversation is expanding, and you deserve to be part of it with accurate information in your hands. If this opened up new questions for you about how your hormones are working together or not working together, the free guide, Hormone, Harmony, or Havoc, is a strong next step. And if you found this video helpful, please share and like. It means the world to us. And if you want to learn more about the relationship of hormones and the gut, click the video on the screen and I'll show you right now.